You're listening to Coworker Radio. I'm Catherine Raymock.
And I'm Jane Walker-Wood.
And every week we have an opportunity to interview venture capitalist, prolific business author John Greathouse. And he actually answers questions from you, our listeners. The way that you get your question asked is you want to email AskJohn@coworkradio.com. And John, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Awesome. How are you doing?
I'm good. Always good to see you. We've got a question today, and I think Jane has it. It's from Mara.
Mara wrote in, and she wants to know, what is the difference between an incubator and an accelerator?
Yep, I can see why that's confusing because the terms are actually used in an overlapping fashion incorrectly. I think they're often used interchangeably. But I'll tell you what certainly my rendering of it is, and I think more of the original meaning of those two terms. So an incubator typically is a much earlier stage company. So it's kind of like it sounds. You're incubating an idea, and there's even incubator, and they come in various flavors. Some incubators are actually, the way they work is the founders of the incubator come up with their own ideas, and then they bring teams around those ideas and give resources to those teams so that those ideas can then blossom. Accelerators also sort of like it sounds. They're accelerating your growth, but the presumption is you have some sort of growth that they're accelerating. So you don't usually walk into an accelerator with an idea and only an idea. They probably wouldn't want you in their class.
Is there a better chance of getting investment money through an incubator or an accelerator?
So accelerator, because again, it's that you're further along. So in fact, one of the values that an accelerator can provide is helping you get institutional funding. And most of them, there's been arguments that they over-optimize on funding in the sense that all they do is gear you up to a demo day. They have a demo day, which is basically a term just means people get up and pitch, and you try to fill the room with investors that have checkbooks, and you hope that they write checks for your companies. That's been a big criticism of accelerators, that they're over-optimizing on the pitch and sort of the salesmanship aspect of a company's maturation, as opposed to helping the company figure out if they have product market fit, helping the company figure out are they going after the right market segment, the more fundamentals. I think that's what started, like an accelerator originally started to help entrepreneurs solve those problems, and they've sort of morphed into
a Shark Tank.
Yeah, sadly.
How much of your own vision do you lose when you bring in an accelerator or an incubator?
It's going to depend on the group that runs it. So some of them are really helpful and continue to deliver tremendous value. They're well known. They bring gravitas. They're going to when people find out the Y Combinator or 500 Startups or Techstars was your accelerator, then that's going to help you already. The alumni class that comes with those types of accelerators is extremely helpful. They have these job boards and listserv, basically Slack channels, where you can ask for help with recruiting people or getting money, and they're very helpful. It's almost like having a business school alumni network at your disposal.
I was going to ask that because I read an article in Forbes where they're calling it the new business school, and now a lot of business schools are starting up accelerators. I know UCSB just got involved in one out of LA.
Yeah, I don't think one's a substitute for the other. I think they can complement each other and augment each other for sure. And you are seeing that pattern even at UCSB. We're talking about maybe not formally having an accelerator, but having essentially a forum or a space or office space where young people can work on their companies. There's something called the Valley of Death. I think I mentioned this in a prior show, where you get to the point where your idea is vetted from an early stage standpoint, but you don't have enough proof in the marketplace to raise institutional capital, and that's often the place where young people, especially without track records, get stuck because nobody wants to give them money without proving that their venture makes sense. And so a university-affiliated accelerator is often a good solution for them because they can allow them another 3 or 4 month runway to get their product into market and at least get enough proof points that somebody will be willing to fund them.
Now, what level of investment could I expect, and how much do I have to give up of my company?
That's the question you should ask when you're looking to join an accelerator, because there's a cost to it. Some of them are a ripoff. I mean, I won't name any names, but some of them were
you can name names.
No,
John.
I'm not. I mean, people just need to do their homework. There's lots of really good ones. Most of the ones that have stood the test of time are obviously good. 2012, there was a bit of a bubble in LA. There was about a dozen, 14 or 15. accelerators/incubators, and now there's a handful, and they're good. They're all solid. But be careful. So if you ever hear fees, if they mention anything about you paying them, forget it. Like it's a ripoff. If they want to take a big chunk of your business for little to no cash, it's a ripoff. I mean, they should be taking 8%, 6%, some modest amount, and then, in fact, even giving you $20,000 or $25,000 as opposed to you paying them. So just be careful, do your homework, and make sure you trust and back channel the people that are running that particular accelerator.
And so is there ever, I heard you say Techstars, I think Dream It is another one that has got a good reputation. Are you, as the entrepreneur, going to the accelerator incubator, or are accelerators ever coming to you as an entrepreneur?
Wonderful question. So Techstars, for instance, Y Combinator, for instance, requires you to move to San Francisco. That's just their mandate, right?
Just for the 3 months.
Yeah. Well, for the term, right?
Yeah.
And these are in classes, and not to knock that model. I think for the right entrepreneur, that's a great model. Techstars, for instance, has a different model. I personally like more, which is they're much more dispersed. They're much more regionally located. So most, or many, I should say, metropolitan areas have a Techstar near them or in them, and that allows you to not have to uproot yourself and maybe your team to go to San Francisco, and you can run your company in your backyard.
And now that's different than the weekend events. Like we just had Santa Barbara Smash Up, and I know Techstar was involved in that, but that's not an accelerator. That's more like a weekend pitch competition,
right?
Like a mini Shark Tank.
For early entrepreneurs, what stage of their business do they need to be in before they go to one or the other?
So if you want to go to an accelerator, your founding team should be in place. It's ideally if you have a product that has manifested itself in some form or fashion, so a prototype or a service that you can at least get in front of potential potential customers, because you're trying to figure out who are your customers and where's that product market fit. Where's that value proposition? Like how much should I charge for the value I'm delivering? Those are things that you can often figure out in an accelerator, but they're hard to figure out if you don't have a product. Again, an incubator, it can be earlier stage. It could be an idea. Maybe you don't have a team around you yet. Maybe you're a sole founder and you want to find co-founders. So again, earlier stage incubator, later stage accelerator.
Thank you, John. I wish we had more time for that.
You'll be back next week.
You've been listening to Co-Work Radio. Please visit us at coworkradio.com. Send us your questions to John at AskJohn@contactradio.com.
Thanks, John.
And don't forget to tune in to us next week, because Rad Mobram, who John just mentioned went through his accelerator program, LaunchPad, will be here with us. Right after the break, we have TV producer, author, speaker, Aurora Winter, and she will help you craft your $1 million message. Then later in the show, food, wine entrepreneur Doug Marjoram.
You are listening to Co-Work Radio, and you can check us out online at coworkradio.com. You can download more shows and interviews. Also follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We'll be right back.